Hello, good morning, everyone. Happy Friday. This is a supposed long weekend, but not really quite a long weekend because yesterday was a holiday, and today is the day where everyone goes grudgingly to work. How are you today,
If
Yen?
if you have to go to work, I think a lot of people are going to take the day off. Yesterday wasn't much of a rest, was it?
Wasn't
What
too
did you
much.
do?
I was working, so yeah, I know it's just fun. But
But happy Friday, everyone! Happy
it's
Friday.
wonderful to be here again today. Once again, good morning. My name is Adrian, and I'm the CEO and founder of Career Agility International. And with me, as usual, is Yen, our co-founder and super coach. How are you
And
today?
welcome to our office, and welcome to another episode of our Career Success Show. Today, we want to keep things a little bit simpler.
Yeah, because it's a Friday and it's a mid-holiday thing,
Yeah.
so we gotta keep it light and a bit short.
And we decided on the topic just last night
Just
over
over
WhatsApp.
WhatsApp.
We'll try to figure out whether or not there was anything
Yeah.
lighthearted that we could talk about, so that it's not too heavy for that sort of weekend.
Yeah, so that's why. In fact, but even before we go there, I wanted to. In fact, let me just show this. If you're wondering what this beautiful painting up here is,
Yes,
okay, I know it's a bit cut off, but it's actually Yen's masterpiece, which he did last year.
I can't remember. Yeah,
Okay.
I think it was this year. Just
This
finished
year.
it. Yeah.
Yeah, also wonderful
Couple of months
piece.
back.
So Yen does this for
I take
decompressing.
commissions.
Yeah, if any of you want to have any nice paintings, so for those of us listening, those of our listeners listening on Spotify, there's a very beautiful painting which Yen has just put up, and it's now our official painting of the month for us. She's gonna give us new paintings every month. Pressure.
No.
But anyway, for those of you who may not be familiar, once again, I'm Adrian, the career strategist. And on this show, Career Success Show, which we have been running for the past 2.5 years, we talk about career matters and matters that matter to your career. And we never actually got that tagline correct.
You stumble on it every single
Every
time.
single time. I should.
But we don't want to make it, cliche or corny.
Yeah, I know.
So yeah, it is what it is. But what we want to talk about would be topics that would help you in your career, and that's why we're here today. Anyway.
And that's what we're talking about.
Yeah.
So last week we had an interesting session. Poor audio quality notwithstanding. Yeah, I know my mic had some issues, but last week we were talking about
career conundrums.
And what would you do as a
cases.
career coach?
Yeah.
But this time round, what we were going to do is what would you do, Yen, or what would I do, Adrian, if we were faced with such situations?
Okay, caveat, and I just want to say this: when I run interview training, and we talk about the types of questions that come up in an interview, a lot of interviewers will ask, tell me about a time when something, and then you're supposed to share a story. But some interviewers ask, what would you do if? And seriously, that is it's a gift when someone asks you, what would you do? Because you can make your own assumptions, you can create your own speculations, and you'll never go wrong. So I want to say that even though the stories or the questions that we ask of you today, or the situations that we describe today, the scenarios are, I know we've got a lot of license to say whatever we have to say, because we don't own the context, So
I'm gonna build a context for her and make things tough for Yen today.
But I'm still gonna make my own assumptions, and I'll treat this as if it was an interview.
Okay, so let's get started. So today we're going to talk about tricky situations, and a lot of these, in fact, all of them are actual true stories that we have encountered in our own careers. Okay, and how would you personally react to all of these? And let's see. Okay,
let's start.
First question: what would you do if you discovered that a
colleague stole a major
deal from you? Okay?
It's happened.
So
it's happened.
Yeah. So the scenario, this actually happened to me. Okay, so I'll just share with you. So I went up to this was way back when I was headhunting. I went up to Thailand for a two-day convention and trade show, and I got lots of deals lined up and everything. And when I came back on a Monday morning, I took leave on Monday morning actually. So on Tuesday when I came back, a couple of orders came in, a couple of request searches came in. Okay, and one of my colleagues this guy, he basically walked past a fax machine. Okay, sorry, those are the fax machine
Yeah,
days.
fax machine days.
Fax
yeah.
machine days, and those were actually
He grabbed.
inquiries. He grabbed it and he claimed it as his, and it was quite a sizable chunk.
You can't own those because you went on a trip to prospect.
And also to,
but the deals that came in, the inquiries that came in, did not specifically address to you.
Yeah.
Right, it was just to the organization and say like,
Yeah.
okay, I have a lead, I'm looking a vacancy, blah blah blah, for a CFO.
Yes.
And whoever first come first serve lah.
Yeah, first come first serve, but not really, because it's not really first come first serve either, because it's very obvious these are the leads which I created on. So
Right.
In a way it's, in a way there's no saying that
you can't legally put your stamp on it and say, hey, that was mine, because it wasn't specifically addressed to you.
Of course you can't, because if you did that, then it's very clear that you can't take mine. See, so but this is a situation where he say, she say, and then this particular colleague of mine said, oh, I know these guys from 2 jobs ago.
Yes.
I know this company from 2 jobs ago. I was working in that company and they were my clients. He wasn't even in search. So what would you do in such a situation if a colleague, and I'm sure you had situations like that before, right?
Yeah, well, the people who stole my deals were not my colleagues. The people who stole my deals were my customers. So the customers themselves effectively, I guess, pushing you out of the deal, managing it directly.
Meaning as in you were given a search.
After
you presented the
presenting the candidate, the customer says, oh, yeah, this person is already on our database, or they talk. So the deal got hijacked by the customer.
Or we spoke to this candidate 4
years ago, or something like that. Yeah. And it's very hard to argue about such things. I think you need to learn to live with it, unless your organization has some policies about deal sharing. The company that I used to work for was very good with such things, because when there's conflict in the sales team, it makes the company very unpleasant. And the organization I worked with had very good leaders, and they made it very clear policies, and there were protocols on deal sharing. So if there was a specialist who does a search for HR types, and somebody else owns the account, and the account could be a tech company, so the tech team search consultant would be responsible for the account relationship, but the search would be sort of co-broked and managed together with the HR specialist, because it's specifically an HR job function. So I'm very, very, very lucky to have had that experience with good leaders.
I think if there are good structures and policies in place, I think that's okay. But
what did you do?
What did I do?
When you found out? Complain. Besides complain to the wife.
No, I complained to the boss. I said, look, this guy stole my deal. And there was a lot of negotiation. Finally, I got the deal back. But I think sometimes you need to put your foot down, okay, in terms of your career. Because if you don't put your foot down, 2 things happen. Number one, you become a pushover.
People bully you. They know that you're bullyable.
Yeah, they know you're bullyable. So what happens is that they come in and this guy, okay, he's a pushover. Let's trample on him a few more times. So sometimes, in fact, not sometimes, all the time, you should assert yourself. And that's one of the problems for myself in my younger days. I was never much of a stand-up pushback kind of
for
guy.
Yourself.
Yeah, I was much of I had problems. I was not assertive enough. But now in my older age, I found that it's okay to push back, to say no, and assert your rights, especially if it's blatantly something that's not correct.
I think this is a slippery slope into again, the dynamics of your team, your organization, your relationship with your boss, and whether or not you have some level of clout, or sometimes you're not young, or you're not old enough, or you've not really established yourself. Then by complaining, you're just a noisy cricket in the team, and the boss goes like, keep quiet, you grasshopper, because you're still a rookie. So and I also think it's really tough, because you have to pick your battles. So
speaking of which, I got a deja vu moment as well though. This happened when I was in another headhunting firm. Okay, this one was and I was doing my prospecting, and I got a deal in from GE. Okay, GE Oil and Gas. And one of the senior partners stood up and said, GE is my client. And I said, no, that's GE Aviation is your client. She said, No.
The whole of GE.
Oh, G is my client.
Yeah.
Okay, she's senior partner. What can you do about it?
You can't do
Okay,
anything
what
about
can you do
it.
about it?
Yeah.
Okay, fine.
Yeah.
That's it. So sometimes you got to choose your battles. I mean, what you to argue with her? So
You
okay,
can't win. Not if you're a rookie or
no, if you're
you're
okay.
still
And I was just new in the
yeah.
company, so it's
Yeah.
like okay, fine, sure.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think that's really tough. And if you would take this, I mean, obviously you and I were going to be discussing it in a headhunting context, but in a lot of our clients' environments as well, it happens all the time when someone takes credit for your work,
Yeah.
or when there's a deal that's really yours, but someone else gets the commission.
Unfortunately, right? That happens.
It happens all the time, and
Yeah.
we work with our clients. And so I was just highlighting a few of those variables that can change the context or the situation or the strategy or the plan of action. Because I mean, if you're too young or if you're very new, it's really hard to have a voice.
Yeah.
And then there's this whole gender thing again. You know, if you're a man and you're assertive, you're okay. But if you're a woman and you're assertive, they'll call you names that starts with B or C.
Beautiful.
Yeah. And then
Bold.
there's a whole
brave.
There's a whole other area
yeah,
to consider, right? And so
sure.
when I coach our clients in specific to their context, we've got to make sure that we are rational, we are not too emotional, and that we've got to be very clear about the plan of action that's going to have an optimal outcome. Another thing, right? I mean, if you're thinking, let's say you give up the deal, if you decide that, okay, fine, it's not worth fighting. But I think there's something you can do to make that a marker of some sort, which means that, okay, well, I have conceded this deal.
Okay.
A marker meaning that is a marker I can
Okay.
claim.
You've been watching too many John Wick movies.
A marker that I can
I give
like
you
a
this marker.
favor, right? It's an obligation of sorts. Like, look, I concede that you can do this, but next time you're going to owe me one back. And it could help you
She's
build
been watching
bridges.
too many John Wick movies.
And
yes.
too many survivor stories as well. Survivor is a very good sociological experiment, a little microcosm of the politicking dynamics of any organization. And I think it's quite something to take note of. So if you're in such a situation and if you feel very trapped, come talk to us. Maybe we can give you some perspective. Maybe we can give you some ideas. We can't guarantee that it will be successful, but having someone in your corner gives you some emotional advantage as well. Yeah.
So, if you're wondering why are we talking about things like this, it's because in your career, we will always encounter situations like this, situations where makes you uncomfortable, situations that can affect not just your job, your security, but also how well you do in the role. That's why as career strategists, Yen and I, we don't just talk about CVs, we don't just talk about LinkedIn or job hunting.
Once you land the job, welcome to another pool of sharks. It's a different pool. It's still full of sharks.
Job landing, you're looking for the job, it's only 5% of 2% of your entire
career. Yeah.
Okay. So, and everyone else is missing the 98%, which is thriving, the word of surviving, and beyond surviving, thriving in the role. So all these are issues that come into play. That's why we wanted to share our insights and ideas with you. So if you, like one Yen said, if you have a situation where you want, you're feeling this way, come talk to us. Info at Career Agility International. And
agility.org.
Yeah. And this is interesting.
Adrian hadn't had his coffee
Sorry,
yet.
I had my coffee yet. Now, this is another. I saw a colleague having lunch with a boss of a competitor firm. Do I tell management?
So, did this happen to you?
I saw that happen to me once.
Yeah.
So context. So there was it was a lunch and I saw this colleague of mine with another very, very large company, bigger company. And it was at a really fancy restaurant. Okay. And
colleague old, young.
It looked about my age, and it looked almost like a job interview.
You were reading the vibes.
Yeah.
By the way, your intuition is usually right. Seriously, listen to your gut. Yeah.
Because if it's a lunch, it's like hey kind of thing, right? But it was so formal and everything. We're talking. He was dressed.
There's a certain.
And it's very rarely you see someone dressed nicely like that. Okay.
What so it was obviously so
it's by assumption my mind went straight to
so assuming you are a supplier to a company and you walk in there and you see someone a colleague who turns up at the same organization and say, I'm here to meet Mr. So-and-so. And you go like, hey, what are you doing here? Meeting a person. And
my brother works here.
so
Yeah, right.
potentially what the conundrum here is, what if you saw a colleague attending an interview with a different company?
Yeah.
And
But in this
again,
case, it's a bit of an assumption.
okay, so what would I do? I'll mind my own business. I stick
Oh,
to
yeah.
my own. I mean, seriously, I'm not going to stop the person from. I mean, unless it's a frenemy. A frenemy, like
yeah.
I don't
It
know.
depends, right? Whether you like the person or not.
Yeah, no, not just whether you like, but again, most of us, 99% of the human race are kind. We don't go out to kind of injure people or break their rice bowl. But yeah. Okay, so if it's a lunch and the vibe is very and interviewing, you don't know. I would generally leave it alone.
Okay.
None of my beeswax. And but if there was something else that was more sinister, for whatever reason, it could be spying. I'm going there again.
Okay,
Too much.
if it's spying, it won't be out in the open. It'll be like in a
You don't
park.
know.
You'll be sliding USB drives to each other. Like, okay, I've been watching too many spy movies.
True. But I again,
if it's
I don't
sinister,
know.
if it's nefarious,
you then I do a little bit of digging, but on my own, and then maybe call the office buddy and say, hey, you know, I saw this. It would be a grapevine type of thing. It won't be a teacher, I want to report that the kid next door is eating is eating in class. You know, I'm not into
You're not a
whistleblowing.
snitch.
Yeah,
You're not a
it's not.
snitch.
That doesn't sit well.
Okay.
So what did you do when you saw that?
Oh, I kept quiet.
Did he see you? See him?
No, he didn't see me.
Okay.
I kept quiet. You know why? I didn't like him, so I wanted him out. So he got a job. He went out. I was like, yay, problem solved.
Again, what does it matter, right? I
Doesn't
mean,
matter in the bigger scheme of things, right?
And again, maybe our assumptions could be wrong. And why would you want to put your nose into somewhere it doesn't belong?
Yeah.
What if this person was like a distant, there was a distant relative that died. This person's a lawyer, and you know the person's
There's so many things could be,
reading the will to you type situation. It could be,
It could be a lot of things which you.
Maybe you want to consult. Yeah, but why would you do it at lunch?
I
That's
don't
true.
know.
See,
I
so
mean,
you don't want to
it's-
consult a
yeah.
lawyer about a will at lunch. I don't know.
It could be anything,
An
but
old army buddy.
yeah, for me, my policy is just sit down and shut up.
Exactly, same.
And you know, if it's a colleague, okay, so look at it. If it's a colleague that you don't like, then by all means, if he or she gets out of the organization, it's a win for you. Yeah.
Or they make more money than you and you don't want them to get the job.
Oh yeah, maybe, you know, or this is the colleague that's been stealing business from you. It's okay, go get out, go away, you know. But if it's a colleague that you like, and if they get a job outside,
You
in the
should
other
celebrate
company,
them.
you should celebrate.
Yeah.
And maybe perhaps he might even pull you over.
That's exactly right.
Right?
Yeah.
So sit down, shut up. Zip. I think that's
or it's something you can hold against a person like blackmail.
No,
I saw you that day. I saw you there. What were you doing there? And then like exchanging the envelope full of cash.
It's terrible.
I think for lunches, it's best to not assume anything. Dinners are a different story. I don't know.
Yeah.
Right? It could be a very slippery slope into
That could be a slippery slope. Yeah.
But again, none of your beeswax, right? So yeah.
But it'll be interesting though. If it was a dinner at a high-end restaurant, and okay, we'll come to that another time. But the next question is this: I just discovered that my top customer has been undercharged for the past 3 years. Okay, contractually. If I adjust the price or I claw back all the past amount, I will lose this customer, major customer, and I need the volume, the business. What would you do?
This is a great interview question.
Yeah.
This is the type of interview question that you can just make your own assumptions. And so if I were the candidate being interviewed and go like, okay, well, this happened, what would you do? I refuse to believe that it's an either or. Like, okay, if I adjust the price, the customer is not happy. Obviously, they're not going to be happy. But there's always room for negotiation. There's always interest. There's always your ability to talk about the ROI moving forward. So if you do some more creative margins or sums, or you can throw in some freebies, or you can have some discussion. But the question here is whether or not it was my mistake that led to the undercharging.
Right? It's not your mistake.
3 years ago.
It's 3 years ago.
Yeah, exactly. So if it's not my mistake, then I think it's okay for me to be like the new account manager and come in and say, I'm sorry, I'm a bearer of bad news. The previous account manager made some mistakes, blah, blah, blah. And so we need to discuss this and not make any assumptions and not say, take it or leave it. If you go to the customer and say, hey, Mr. Customer, it's going to be new price, or you're going to have to pay me back 3 months of arrears.
3
Of
years,
course.
never 3 months.
3
it's
months, 3 years of arrears. You're definitely going to lose a customer.
Yeah.
Customer going to have good luck trying to steal back the money from me.
It's really written off already, right?
Yeah, it's not going to happen.
Yeah.
But the question though, it can be a more complex with whether or not there are regulation issues, there's some audit issues internally.
And you're right.
What else is going to
You're
happen?
right in saying that this is actually an excellent interview question.
Mm.
Because whenever we do interview training, we always tell our clients, when you get a question, it's not about the question, it's the question behind the question.
Yeah.
Okay. And what this if you're asked this question during the interview, it's going to be a matter of what face do you then want to show. Okay, do you want to show a face that no, business is business, therefore a profit bottom line is everything, I'll go? Or do you want to show that you're strategic, that no, okay, I'll take the hit, it's already 3 years ago, all the losses have been written off already, now moving forward, and then the even more strategic level is this a strategic client? How does this person fit in the portfolio? If it's a brand that you want to have, they will bring other brands in. So a lot of times it's a great way to highlight your level of sophistication of thinking. Okay, during the interview process to the interviewer.
Especially if you're a senior member of the team and you're expected to help to navigate choppy waters. And situations like this all the time. Your team members are going to come to you and say, hey boss, the customer did this, and then your job is to help them to save the customer, save the deal, and make sure you hit your KPIs, right? So you're gonna get a lot of similar corporate stories or customer issues, and it's your job to be able to answer it. So what would I do? Obviously, in an interview situation, again, it's really easy for you to draw some assumptions, but then in an interview, you want to also allude to something that's similar that's happened to you in real life. Don't just go down the assumption path, because then I was like, oh, you're just giving me a model answer. As an interviewer, I'm just going to brush you off as well. So a good answer would be, yes, something similar happened. The client was like this is what I did, this is what I learned from it, and this is how it's made me a better manager or an executive today, because now I know how to navigate this kind of conflict. And I would listen. And I'll be interested to hear your thought process and how you grew up from a negative experience. It's okay to make mistakes as long as you learn from it. Don't repeat the mistake like 300 times more.
Or even twice. No need to be 300 times. But you got a point, you see. So how you answer it and how you frame it. That's why whenever you're faced with a difficult interview question, you don't rush into it. Don't rush head on into it. Formulate a strategy in your mind, especially if you're going in an interview as a senior candidate. Okay, going in, so you'll have questions like this, and then how I would answer it is, there are 3 things we need to look out for. Number 1 is the profitability, the commercial. Okay, whether or not are we losing money still selling to this person. If it is, then you got to stop, because no one's gonna sell.
No one wants a customer and bleeds, right?
Yeah, correct. Even if it's a top client, moreover, you're talking about volume here, which means you're going to be volume times negative margins. So you talk about the losses, so you talk about how you would stop. Okay, your general action is I will stop, I will review the contract, and if strategically, if I need to let go, I'll let go. Then, so the commerciality is one. The other thing I would talk about is the reputational risk as well to the market. That if everyone knew that I was undercharging this guy for 3 years,
we're in trouble.
Yeah, we're all
my
trouble.
Customers,
so do we want
there'll be a run on the bank.
Yeah, correct. And the third thing is, the overall strategy of the organization. So things like this, you start talking when you think like a CEO and you talk like a CEO, people are going to perceive you to be of that senior management level, rather than talk about, I want to go in and do this little tiny thing and that tiny thing that won't move the needle.
I hear a lot of like, if this was a junior answer, it'd be something along the line of I will talk to the customer.
I'll talk to the customer and see what the customer says.
No. Don't just talk to the customer.
Yeah. So cannot. Exactly,
not enough information.
Talk to customer.
Not enough.
Talk about what, right?
Yeah.
So it's like okay.
Yeah. So did this really happen to you? What happened in the end?
It happened in the end. negotiated with
Notice,
client.
notice, guys, that he went we rather than
We,
I.
yeah, you know why we? Because I was a junior guy at the time.
Sure, okay.
Yeah, I was a junior guy. So yeah, I highlighted to the boss. And interestingly, there's nothing you can do because it was in the contract. They miscalculated the contract formula pricing ridiculously. Yeah. So to the point where the boss asked me, what do you want to do? And I said, well, we can't bleed money. So yeah, we got to take the bullet.
On this note, right, not just this type of story in the context, very recently a good friend of mine found out when he inherited a team that the other countries members were being paid a lot more than they should be because of the exchange rate differences.
Oh.
So it was a USD contract, and then when converted into local currency, it was a lot more. And because this was a decision made 2 years back,
When the currency was,
so the contract still held. But the organization was paying too much for this individual, and obviously they can't reduce his salary. And 2 years later, he's expecting an increment. And so there's this, again, a lot. And this is a great HR story because it's all about equalization and harmonization of compensation. And
but sorry, contract is contract.
Because of some not very bright person that made a mistake in the US currency exchange rate.
It happened to me once. So it happened to me once. And the US dollar went up from 1.25 to 1.35.
And then and because you nailed it down at 1.25, you lost money, right?
They lost money. So
yeah.
So anyway, but it doesn't matter. So
this is a very, so don't just look at, if you're listening to us, don't just look at this context. Some of what we're discussing today. There's so many ways you can.
I mean, there's different insights, and we're keeping light today because it's a Friday. So for those of you who just joined us, my name is Adrian, and I'm the CEO and founder of Career Agility International, and Yen's our co-founder and super coach. And today we're keeping it light and talking about what would you do if you came across a situation like this? And these things have happened to us before.
And they also happen to all our clients.
Happen to our clients. And just sharing a few interesting, fun fireside stories. The fireside stories.
I think after the fact, we can look back on it.
And then we could laugh
it's a good fireside story. But sometimes they're quite traumatic.
It is traumatic.
Yeah,
okay,
it shapes us.
Yeah, like for instance, this next question. Which is a true story, I must add. It's a true story. You want to read this?
So the conundrum here, quote, I ran into my boss's husband at the airport, and the woman he was with is not his wife. What would you do?
Well,
it doesn't need to be the airport. It could be the coffee, the dinner, or you ran into them at the mall. Yeah. You ran into somebody. Yeah.
So
again,
what would I do?
None of my business.
I would just clam up and shut up. Because it could be 1,001 reasons why. And unless you know the boss of yours is a personal friend. Okay, it's a different question. Yeah. If it was a personal friend of yours and you saw the husband with another lady, will you tell her?
Yeah.
Yeah. So if the boss is a personal friend, then
the this is my friend and she's female.
Yeah.
Yeah. If it was my friend and it was male and I saw his wife with some other person, I may not share. Again, it depends on your relationship. That's on
a personal
note.
If you're talking about an official business and you see, on one hand, what are you gonna do? You're gonna tell your boss, I saw.
And this leads back to your article on LinkedIn the other time. You made a post. Adrian did a post about, can your boss be your friend? And I think the poll indicated majority said no. So it's none of your business. Stay out of it. Remember Devil Wears Prada?
Yes.
And the Meryl Streep character, the husband was having something out on the side. And Andy, what's her name? The character, Andy, Anne Hathaway, found out something, and I think we watched too many movies.
And sometimes it could be an innocent mistake, or innocent situation which you are reading too much into.
But hang on, back to our conundrum. Airport with a person that's
If
not.
it's a business trip, it's okay.
Well, it depends.
But if it's
Yeah. So
but if they're not decked out in sunscreen and
body language
with 3 kids in
is.
tow, it's like
Oh
okay, no,
shit.
I'm being juicy here. That's an ocean situation. I'm just being
That's the whole body language that you would read among people.
Yeah.
You can tell when you go to the airport if someone is I guess on a business trip, and you can tell when someone's on holiday. You can tell.
Yeah.
You can
The
tell.
tone, the energy level and everything.
Energy
right?
level, outfit.
So
Yeah.
yeah. So moral story is I will just sit down and shut up
None of your
because there's no
business.
upside to it.
There's no upside.
There's no upside to it at all.
Yeah.
And the last thing you want is have a boss who is gonna be emotionally unstable because of
Actually,
that.
if anything, I was just talking to a client not too long ago about a particularly difficult leader, direct boss who's a little bit micro, a little bit
Okay.
emotional. And we started our discussion with what would be our game plan.
Mhm.
So what's our mindset going into managing up specifically to this leader who might potentially have some issues? And I recommended starting with compassion.
Yeah.
Please
Okay.
have half a heart for the person who is also human, who has life challenges, and we don't know what they're going through. They may have an illness at home.
Whether you like the person or
It
not,
doesn't
right?
matter, right? But you start with compassion,
Yeah.
and when you look at this individual with a compassionate lens, your answers are less barbed. Things are a little bit just more flexible, more genuine. Things are working.
I think so.
Then I said, but we want to give this person a timeline because the leader, yeah, exactly. You can't be like kind forever. At some point, you've got to start standing up for yourself.
Yeah.
So then the second lens that we want to put on after looking at it with compassion is to figure out what is the real agenda. What's really going on with this individual? Like why? And then if at some point, 2-3 years down the road, you realize your leader's incompetent, the leader's a blocker,
Does it take so long
leader
to
is toxic,
figure out 2-3 years down the road?
2-3 quarters,
maybe.
But you've got to establish a pattern of behavior before you start going well, this is not working
don't
out.
Make assumptions too soon,
right? And then you've got to figure out how to navigate around your blocker to get into another team or to get promoted or what have you. So I think this is a great like a little kind of story to start with. Okay, none of my business, but to understand that your boss is also human and they have life challenges.
Yeah. And I'm generally not a snitch. So, and it's not my business to snitch. I won't snitch.
No.
So
doesn't work. But it's sometimes we cannot carry such the weight of such a big secret. So you need to have people you trust that you can unload on. So your career coach, your career mentor, your spouse.
Facebook.
But yes, if you tell us your secrets, we'll zip it up.
We'll zip it up. And the last question for today is this, and this happens as well quite often. My new boss has just asked me to fire one of my long-serving staff because she doesn't like his face.
Is that true, or is that just an excuse for something else?
It's basically it's whatever is true or not. Your boss has asked you to do something you don't want. You feel it's unethical. No basis for it.
This is very common. When a new leader comes to take over the team, it's not whether or not they like your face is beside the point. The point is that they're going to ask you to potentially make some changes. And you might not agree with those changes. What would you do? Again, come talk to us, because how long is a piece of string? Like, what would you do if? It depends on what the assumptions are, what the context. In long-serving staff, my long-serving staff is 57 and they're ready to take an exit package. Why not?
Why not, right?
13 and a half years, for example. I would try and have a quiet conversation and see whether or not this person wants to put up their hand and take voluntary separation.
It is a situation where it's unethical.
Yes.
Where the boss says, I don't want to pay this guy, give this guy a payout. I want you to fire him on some trump.
That's happened a lot. That's happened a lot.
So what would you do?
You have to manage it. You have to manage it. If the person that has been targeted for an exit, and most of the time it is, because on paper this person is probably not pulling the same weight. If you are a performer, or if the team member is a performer, they will not be on the firing squad.
Or
Sorry,
not
firing
be
squad. They will not be facing the firing squad.
But sometimes the new boss is political. The new boss wants to put her or his own people in as well. So
and
they
but
just want you to
who
clean
would
house.
who would they exit? They'll exit the lowest ranking member of the
Or the
team.
person they don't like the face. In this case, the boss says. So I know this story. Okay, this story.
Okay.
The new boss really didn't like her face because of some attitude, some clash they had.
Oh, okay. So it's not a face thing; it's an attitude. It's
I mean,
it's
yeah,
a
lah, among other
clash.
things, yeah.
It's
Yeah.
a behavioral.
Yeah, but it was not a
It's
performance thing.
kind of
So
like rub me the wrong way
yeah,
type thing.
so the question is,
Yeah, don't rub me the wrong way, Adrian.
no, I've learned after working 5 years from you. No, I wouldn't scratch you the wrong way either. So, yeah. But you see, that's what happens sometimes, and I think the big situation is this: is it? It's up to you whether you feel that you can talk to the boss. If you can talk to the boss, I mean, if you can convince the boss, it's good. If you're unable to convince the boss, then you have to decide whether or not this is a hill you want to die on.
Yeah. And also if you know that it's untenable, and being caught in the middle is not going to be healthy either way. And this is definitely not a game, not a battle you can win because the boss
it's the boss
calls the
It's
shots.
the boss. Yeah.
And but
The golden rule.
I've helped a lot of people
The
go
man
through
in the
this
goal makes the
conundrum.
rule. So
It's true.
you're the boss. So I don't want to
Yeah.
mess around with that.
Yeah. So in one of my client situations when this happened, what this person did was to delay the exit, but to inform definitely that things are not looking great. There's a train wreck coming for you.
Yeah.
And because this is a trusted member of your team, I think the person is going to appreciate your candor. So then delayed the exit by a quarter to give this person a chance to go out and look for another job.
Yeah,
so this has happened a lot. I'm just saying,
it's been a lot. So if
it's easier to delay if the person that if your boss that's asking you to do this is not in the same country. It's
If every day the boss is going like, so how about why am I seeing her still here? You know, it's like why is she still here? So it's interesting because these type of things do happen, and if these type of things do happen to you or on a regular basis, come talk to us because we have a career partner program where we will take care of you. We will help you navigate all these tricky situations. Remember, it's not about the job search. It's not about.
We definitely will help you with your resume and LinkedIn and all the rest of that.
If you're in a job search mode,
but beyond that, right? There's all this sustainability.
Thriving. How do you accelerate your career? How do you do well in your career? Come talk to us. info@careeragility.org, and we have helped many people over the years. We have a very strong alumni, close to 400 people strong, plus, and it's growing. So if you have any career questions, come talk to us. You'll be surprised how, even after one session, how much clarity you can get. So it's something that we've been doing, having quite a fun time for quite a while.
We hear this all the time. People say, gosh, wish I'd come to you earlier. But not all conundrums are that deep and complex.
Sometimes you just need
sometimes you just need to have a fresh perspective. And so know that there is an avenue for you to sort of just check in, and if you do have questions, please reach out. Don't go this alone because it's not worth the emotional baggage.
Not worth. Okay. So anyway, we come to the end of our show. Once again, any questions, come or reach out to us. And the weekend's coming up. Just enjoy your weekend and have a good break. This is Adrian and Yen checking out. Have a good break and keep calm and career on.
Take care.
Take care, guys.